some, use of some and any. Generally, some or any in language, in really in Odia, Hindi, other than English language, really the meaning is same, some, any. What is the formal rule? Formal rule. And I will ask, I will discuss some function rule, but you see what is the formal rule? Some. Some is used in positive sentence or affirmative sentence. Positive or affirmative sentence. Affirmative. Before countable, before plural countable. Plural countable noun. Plural countable noun. Plural countable noun, uncountable noun. This is the formal rule. Any used in interrogative sentence, interrogative and negative sentence. Before singular countable noun, now every before nouns. Before nouns. There may be singular countable noun, plural countable noun. It context demands. Any noun. Did you understand? Generally,
Yes,
in
sir.
your books,
Yes, sir.
in 10th class, up to 10th class, it is discussed that some is used before a positive or affirmative sentence, and it is used before plural countable noun and uncountable noun. But and any is
Sir,
used. Any is
sir,
used
positive.
before interrogative and negative and before any noun. It is the discussion up to 10th class. But in plus 2, if contest, okay, I'm giving some examples. There are some boys, there are some apples, there are some apples, there are some apples in the on the table. On the table. There is not any apple. There is not any apple on the table. Is there any apple? Is there any apple? Is there any apple on the table? Question mark. Okay, it is the formal rule. Is there any water? Is there any water? Is there any water in the jug? Is there any water in the jug? I don't like, I don't like any indisciplined students. Indisciplined students. You say, Sham, there are some apples on the table, some plural countable noun. You may use there are some sugar, there are some sugar in the bottle. There are some sugar in the bottle, in the jar. There are some sugar in the jar. There are some sugar in the jar. It is uncountable noun. It is uncountable noun. It is plural countable noun. That means some can be used before uncountable noun. Some can be used plural countable noun. There is not any apple on the table. Any can be used singular countable noun. Singular countable noun. There is any apple on the table. It is negative sentence. It is negative sentence. It is negative. It's interrogative sentence. Interrogative sentence. Is there any water in the jug? It is uncountable. Water is uncountable. You can use any. I don't like any indisciplined students. Indisciplined students, it is plural countable noun. It is plural countable. We can use any.
Sir, any बकर कौन लिखिछन sir? I don't like any.
I don't like any indisciplined students. INDIS. Indisciplined students. I don't like indisciplined students. I don't like indisciplined students. I don't like any indisciplined students. What did you get from this formal rule? From this formal rule says that sham is used before positive and affirmative sentence and before plural countable noun or uncountable noun. This is a formal rule. Any interrogative sentence and negative sentence before any noun. It may be countable, singular countable, it may be plural countable, it may be uncountable. You say, there are some sugar in the jar. Sugar is uncountable. There are some apples on the table. Apples is plural countable. There is, come on to the use of any. There is not any apple on the table. Any. Is there any apple on the table? Is there any water in the jug? I don't like any indisciplined students. But if the context demands, we can also use any. So, what did you get the difference? That means formal rule. These are formal rules. It shows that any cannot be used. Any cannot be used in what? Positive sentence. Yeah. It shows that. Did you understand, students? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
When I wrote this word, interrogative and negative, it shows that any cannot be used in positive sentence. But in the context demands, we can write. Did you write everything?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If context demands, we can write any in also positive sentence. But you have been learning till now. Am I wrong? You have been learning till now that any is used before negative and interrogative sentence, and some is used in positive, or some is used in positive and affirmative, any is used in interrogative and negative. Am I wrong?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Can you use some in a negative and interrogative sentence? My question. Can you use some? Can you use some? My question is, can you use some in interrogative and negative sentence?
No, sir.
Can you use any in positive and affirmative sentence?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, never says in English. English always depends on context. Not English grammar is not an airtight compartment. It is never says. It is the use of some and any are generally used in this way. Are generally used. The word generally is generally used in English. Never say no, sure. It can be possible. You see. Shall I? Okay, I'm going to. Now our question is how, in which context we can use some with interrogative and interrogative in negative sentence. You see, mark the figure. Mark the figure. I'm really, I'm drawing four figures. I am drawing four figures. So come on, mention this figure. Mention this figure. Here something. Did you understand? Some
Yes, sir.
really here some storybooks. Some storybooks. Really, I'm giving an example about storybooks. You can write, explain this figure. Explain this figure for any. I don't like. You can use I don't like any storybook. I don't like any storybook. I don't like any storybook. Or I don't like none of the storybooks. None of the storybooks. None of the storybooks. If you come to this, I like any storybook. I like any storybook. I like any storybook. I like any storybook. Yeah, I like any storybook. Is it wrong? Here is a blank. You can say I don't like any storybook. That means you are not fond of reading. You are not fond of reading storybooks. So you can dictate, you can explain, you can confess, you can explain that I don't like any storybook. I don't like none of the storybooks. If you are fond of reading storybooks, then you can say I like any storybook. So here any can be used in affirmative sentence. Any can be used in affirmative sentence. Any can be used in affirmative sentence. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Any
sir.
can
Yes,
be
sir.
used in affirmative sentence.
ଏମିତି ସବୁ ଲାଗିବ ତା ଅର୍ଥ
Yeah. Here,
ସବୁ ଅର୍ଥ
we discussed. Whatever the storybooks he likes. I like whatever the storybook. I like grammar. That means I like any type of grammar. I like any type of grammar. I like any type of grammar books. There are some students who are in the habit of watching TV. Really, the student likes any cinema, whatever the cinema may be. The a student likes any cartoon. That means I have already mentioned in the figure. Here, if you use each and everything that I like any storybooks, that means you can use any in affirmative sentence. If you use each and every, that means any can be also used in affirmative sentence if the context demands. So in English, everything depends on context. No particular rule. So it says that never in English never says it is. It is the rule. No, it is the general rule. Generally is generally used in every sentence, every rule. Just like come on to Sham. What is our formal rule? There are two grammars. This is functional rule. This is functional rule. This is functional grammar. This is functional rule or functional grammar. Functional grammar. I have already told you, I have already mentioned you what is functional and what is formal. Pointing at Bandhana, I have already explained what is formal and what is functional. Do you remember?
Sir, is non-formal is equal to functional.
Come on.
Sir, non-formal जोड़ा functional सेटा की?
Wait, man. No, that is different. Non-formal and functional is quite different. Functional depends on context. Non-formal is different. Here, formal rule. What is the formal rule? It is applicable, it is used